started.
as well.
There you go, Gary.
So Moonstruck was a Cher movie that, no, I'm kidding. This is not Moonstruck. Oh, hey, just in time. Fashionably late. Here's Mike Mahoney.
There he is.
Ta-da!
He's
Yay,
not late.
Mike.
He's exactly on time.
According to my
Yeah.
clock, I'm exactly on time.
You are exactly on time.
The clock in the studio just passed 0.
Exactly.
For some reason, I'm still tied into the original sign-ins and codes, so I have to go in and undo it all and then start. So I start like at 10 till to make sure I can show up on time. So anyway, the movie I chose back before Thanksgiving is Moonlight, and I know it. And Chris asked me, "Why did you pick that?" And I think why I picked it was I don't remember seeing the whole thing, and I was looking at past best Oscar, best picture winners, and I could not remember that I'd seen the whole thing, and I hadn't. I had not seen it. I do not remember the chair over the head scene. That's the first one I thought, oh, I've never seen it at this point. What I remembered about it was a little kid who befriends this gentleman, and the kid then kind of becomes his father figure. And then the circle is complete when the father figures out he's the one selling rocks to the kid's mother, and that's why the kid's, in trouble to begin with. And it's a hard movie to watch. And Chris said, "Why did you pick it?" And so part of it is because I thought I needed to catch up on Best Picture winners. And one of the reasons we watch movies is to be entertained and to escape. Another reason I watch movies is to experience a life or a lifestyle that I have no idea about. I have no idea what it's like to grow up Black, gay, the child of a junkie, befriended by the mother's supplier, getting beat up, being made fun of, and trying to figure out how to navigate all that. And it's not, I wouldn't call it entertaining, but I would call it enlightening. And that, and what I remember about it is it was originally not named the Best Picture. If you remember that night at the Oscars,
Yes.
it read La La Land, which was escapist to the max. And they went, hold it, not so fast. It was Moonlight, which was like, downshifting from 8th gear to 1st gear.
Yeah.
Totally two different approaches from Hollywood. One, big budget. If you remember the scene on the highway, who knows what it took to coordinate that giant dance scene at the beginning of La La Land.
It's Gary. Yeah, Gary. Gary's here.
Yep.
Can't hear you. Now you can.
Okay. Well, it was like the opposite of La La Land, where it was big Hollywood, big budget, and dance scenes, and this is a very small movie. I'm not sure they had more than.
Oh, you're going out again.
You have a special microphone, or?
Yeah.
Oh no. We might have to start again.
Let me get out of the earpiece.
There you go. So that was the one with Warren Beatty and all that?
Is that any better?
Yeah.
It's much better.
Yes.
And your audio's five times better.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah, your audio was very muddy.
A movie that Cher starred in called Moonstruck. That's where I started. I don't know how much you heard, but Chris asked me why I picked the movie, and as I said, one of the reasons I picked it is because I wanted to see what was on the Best Picture list, and that's one that I didn't think that I had seen, and it turns out that I had not seen the whole thing. And I think that we watch movies for a couple of reasons: one, to be entertained and escape, and the other is to walk in the shoes of people that we don't get a chance. That's not our experience. I'm not raised in the ghetto. I wasn't raised as a gay kid with a mom who's a junkie and a father figure who's her supplier. And so I wouldn't call it entertaining, but I would call it an important movie because it gives you a glimpse into a world totally different than ours. You know, then just on the movie making level, I thought the three characters or the three actors who played the different stages did a great job. What struck me, and it won an Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. But if you go back, because I watched it on an airplane today with closed caption, there's not much dialogue where there's a complete sentence. You know, there are things like, you know, do you feel me? And I mean, most of it is truncated communication where people have a hard time explaining what they're going through and explaining to each other, you know, how they're experiencing whatever it is they're experiencing, which I thought was, for that to be the best screenplay, it's a very tough script. I mean, and I know it was, what I read was it was adapted from an unpublished book. So it was like a half-baked story, and then somebody took it to the screen. And but the three actors who played the different stages, I thought did a great job. And for a small budget movie, I mean, it multiplied its investment. I think it was a $1 or maybe $4 million movie, ended up being a $65 million box office movie, which is nothing compared to Moana or Gladiator.
Yeah, or Wicked, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Chris asked me why, and I said, well, one, I needed to catch up. I'd like to know what the best pictures are. And two, I like movies when they take me places that I would not otherwise go. And I think I said to her, I don't know that I've replied to all. We talked a couple of weeks ago about The Big Chill and how that could have been us. You know, there were several of us who had similar paths, the way we experienced college, the way we experienced college after college or life after college. So that was sort of a glimpse into if they were painting a picture of my life and, you know, who would play me
Yeah.
in the movies. And I watched this movie and identified with absolutely nobody.
Right.
It's a total stretch to take a glimpse into that world and try to imagine what that's like. So I hope you don't begrudge the fact that I ask you to go along for the ride. I know it's not Moonstruck, it's Moonlight. But I am interested in, and you can be honest, you can say at the end of it, man, I wished he had picked something more like Moonstruck. But I'm curious if you had seen it before, what your takeaway was, or if you saw it for the first time, what your takeaway from this experience was. Had anybody seen it before?
I saw it.
I had not seen it, no, which I was shocked at because I thought I had seen almost every, best picture, and I had not seen this, and I cannot figure out why I didn't see it.
Well, what I read was that it was originally released and promoted as an LGBTQ movie. So you probably weren't in the demo. And there may have been a whole marketing thing that just passed us by because it was assumed that we were not the audience.
Right.
Until, its infamous moment where it was La La Land, hold it, not so fast.
Yeah, that was.
Which probably got it more attention than it would have if it had just won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, you saw it this time for the second time?
This was the second time, yeah. I saw it. I think I probably saw it after it got nominated. So we were hitting all the nominated movies. I remember we saw what was the other one?
La La Land.
We saw that too. And yeah, I saw it, and I think I told Patty we were gonna watch it for movie club, and she said, "Oh, I want to see that." And so I got pulled away, and she watched it till the very end. She goes, "That's how it ends." It had a really abrupt ending.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I mean, there was a lot going on. I loved it. I loved the acting. I loved it. The ending was a little confusing, though, I think. It's a great movie. I mean, I can see how it won the best picture. But I would like to see them piece piece the parts together in some conclusive way. I mean, what was it telling me? I'm not really sure what that movie was saying exactly.
Well,
I'd never seen it before either, and yeah, and I read that it was marketed to the gay community as well. Um, I don't think it's necessarily a gay movie. I mean, it's got gay sex in it, and there are overtones about it. But there are overtones about his lifestyle, his choice of not his choice, but the predicament that he grew up in. Um, so, and when this thing started, and perhaps I missed a clue or something like that. I wasn't sure that. This was in Miami. In fact, I presumed that it was in Los Angeles. And then when they did the ocean scene when Little's trying to when Juan's trying to teach him to swim, I'm going, well, I don't remember seeing this you know this kind of scene in LA. And then there are lots of other little pickups that it's in Miami rather than Los Angeles. But I thought it had multiple
Themes.
multiple messages. Not just being a gay movie, but the predicament of Miami, or black poverty. Um, and It was just it was an interesting movie. I agree with you, Bill. It didn't really have any sort of ending. It just seemed to stop. I think it could have, I didn't need I didn't need a happy ending, a Hollywood ending to it, but something to button it up would have been nice. But I found it was interesting movie as well. And the guy, I'm not even going to try to pretend to pronounce his name, but the guy who played Juan, who won the Academy Award,
wonderful.
was a hell of an actor.
Yeah,
It was
wonderful.
a very good part.
He's so good. He's good in everything he does.
Yeah.
I know his last name is Ali, so we can just go.
Yeah. Well, let's go with Ali. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gary, I'm so glad you picked this because again, I didn't realize that I had not seen a movie that was a best movie. And vaguely, what year was it again?
2016, I think.
16. So it's only 8 years ago. For some reason, I remember wanting to go see it, and the person that I was going with said, "Oh, we'll have nothing in common with that," or something like that kind of rings a bell. And I never that never is why I would judge a movie, but whoever I was going with, I remember them saying something like that. In any event, I thought it was phenomenal. I thought the acting, all three of them, it were amazing. It kind of reminded me of Boyhood, but I think it was way better. If you guys remember Boyhood. Anyway, I think for you, Gary, the arc it was so easy to see this timid little boy go to a hardened man and everything in between. But his strength was his vulnerability. I think the scene when he is talking to Kevin and says that you're the only man that's ever touched me just took my heart. It was like, it was all there. It was all there. This poor little boy that's been bullied and he's skinny and then he goes into this buffed guy and he still has that not weakness, but he's still a timid little boy that hasn't been able to give his emotions out. I thought all three actors did a phenomenal job because each one of them, I thought for their little time that they had, they really showed how this character could move. So I really enjoyed it a lot. And I can see exactly why it got best picture. Plus watching it was it was a beautifully shot as well. I mean, it was just done well all the way around. And I loved Janelle, or
Yeah, Janelle Monáe.
Manel, yeah.
Monáe.
You know, she was so good in it. And you know that it is so true, Gary, like you had mentioned. It's like, that's why I like book club and why I like movie club, is to see things that I would normally maybe not see, but the club, we get to see these things, and it really is enlightening. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad you picked it.
Good, good. Karen?
Yeah, you know, I enjoyed, you know, I'm glad I watched it. I don't think I'd watch it again. Again, much like you said, Gary, there was nothing for me to relate to, but that's not necessarily what I have to have in a movie. But it does, you know, then you find yourself just sort of almost feeling like a voyeur, you know, like I'm looking into this culture, these lives that I have no connection to. And, you know, I have to, you know, remind myself to sort of not to be too judgmental, not to be, you know, not to be, you know,
Right. Yeah.
fall back onto stereotypes or that sort of thing. The other thing that I thought about, and you'll have to forgive me, but it did come to mind a few years back when Ricky Gervais was doing the Golden Globes, and he said to an actress, I can't even think of who it was, but he said, "I told you to do a Holocaust movie." You know, yeah. Oh, Kate Winslet. He says this to Kate Winslet. I told you you'd get if you did a Holocaust movie. I sort of had that, like, I told you if you did an LGBT Black movie, you'd get nominated. You know, there's sort of like that zeitgeist sort of, you know, gave that movie, I think, some legs, but it certainly holds up on its own once, you know, when you watch it. But like I said, I don't think I would watch it again. It was kind of, there were parts of it that were very hard to watch. And Bill, I was thinking about, you know, what you and I had both seen, A Real Pain, that movie, A Real Pain. And it also just ends. There is no denouement. There is no, you know, unknotting. In the end of that movie, he just, you know, the Jesse Eisenberg cousin leaves to go back to his family, and the other cousin just stays at the airport because you kind of figure he's probably homeless at this point, you know, but there's no ending, you know, there's no nice sort of wrapping up in that same way. And that always, it's tough, you know, at the end, you're like, the credit starts rolling. You're like, wait, what?
Do you think the idea is to let you put the bow on it, or the producer director had no idea how to end it and he was out of money?
Well, that, or it's sort of like real life doesn't have a denouement, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it
Yeah.
may be more that than anything else.
I want to go back
It's
to what
like
you said. Did you get the feeling you were being pandered to as a, you know, like, do a Holocaust movie that'll be box office cash, that the creators of this movie were trying to cash in on a niche?
Well, I feel like that niche had opened up right then and there, and they were able to take advantage of it. But like I said, it isn't like, oh well, and there's that movie. Once you watch the movie, it's beautiful cinema. It is art, you know. But their timing was certainly good too.
Jeff?
I would echo what most people have said. The continuity of this, I think the writers were very clever in how they placed the breaks so that one character developed up to a certain point, and then there was a break, and they were really somebody else at the next point. And then finally, he came out of his chrysalis and became a real big person. But there was still that thread that ran through each character from one end to the other. So in that respect, there was kind of an arc of development. I think there's also kind of a full circle thing between his encounter with the guy earlier that touched him, and then he came back to him, and he wasn't, it was almost like, I'm not sure why I'm going to Atlanta. I've got to visit mom, but I really am wanting to go back and see this guy to kind of reconnect. And that was his best, most real experience in his whole life, pretty much, to that point. And he was going back to see if he could reignite that, I guess. So that it was awkward. But they were in the restaurant, they were kind of dancing around each other and kind of flirting a little bit and stuff. And then they went off together afterwards. And I think that for me, as you guys said, life doesn't always end with a tidy tapering off into some final story. Sometimes somebody moves out of town, and that's the last you ever hear of them. You don't know what happened to them or where they went or what's going on. And so there was an element of that here, that they got together, and that's where we're going to leave the story. So I didn't enjoy watching it very much because of the inability to identify with things, and kind of, made me uncomfortable, but it kept my attention for a while. I just wasn't sure where it was going to go and what was going to happen with these guys. And it captured me as it was going along, and he was going through all these changes.
Well, I know I said that there's not, in terms of flowery dialogue, snappy dialogue, that's not there.
No.
But the scene with Juan in the ocean,
Yes.
and then you leap forward to the scene in the diner or afterwards where he says, "You're the only man that's ever touched." Those two, that's when he finally expresses something very powerfully. And it's only a few words, but man, like Donna said, it takes your breath away, because this has been somebody who's been denied a mother's love, and then a father figure's love, and then a friendship who turned on him.
Betrayal.
I mean, every person that mattered in his life hurt him. So by the time, he's an adult, his shell is so hard, and he finally comes out of it long enough to say, maybe the reason I'm here is because you're the only person who ever was intimate with me. And I mean, I thought that was a powerful, if you didn't take anything away from the screenplay other than that was gold, So
Kevin's also,
we're talking about the ending. Help me understand how and when Juan fell out of the picture. Did I blink and miss something?
He died, right?
Did they explain how?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think so.
He's just gone.
I don't even remember them saying that he died.
I don't either.
There's something about at the funeral or something like that.
They implied something and they hinted at something, but it's like the rest of the dialogue. They work around the edges, but until he says, no man has ever touched me except you, there's never a bullseye. It's always on the edges.
But he does become what Juan was, another drug dealer, so he kind of, it is the father figure, and he's going, I think the only person that he recognizes that he could look at and idolize was Juan, and that's why he became a drug dealer himself,
I wonder what the average lifespan for drug dealers is.
It's a good question.
Probably not very long. So that might be Juan's exit.
Hard data to gather.
Yeah, it would be. Excuse me. Can I buy a nickel? And could you tell me? Yeah.
I'd like you to take a short survey before we hang up here.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wonder about is Sharon gay? I mean, he has a gay encounter with Kevin, but is he gay? Is he gay? I'm not sure that he is.
His mother thinks so. His mother thinks he is. She's the one that's like, oh, they're mean to him because of the way he walks.
Yeah.
Well, the community kind of assigned him into that. I mean, it's like they thought he was gay, so they abused him like he was gay and kind of pushed him into that corner. So I kind of share Mike's question about that, because he could have really not had that proclivity, but still was channeled that way by what else was going on. And if he had a little bit of that reputation, he might be more likely to be approached that way. And so that could have led to that encounter. I don't know. It's,
You know, and then teenage the teenager, you know, whacks his bully over the head with a chair. I mean, and then Kevin in the final third of that says, you know, I'm not with my son's mom anymore, but we're still together. So, you know, he's not necessarily he's not, you know, completely. I don't even know the word for it. Wholly gay. I mean, he's had a relationship with a woman, but
he's at least bi.
I'm off in territory I don't know much about there.
Well, I think the whole movie is about him developing, evolving.
I agree.
And even at the, I think at the end, I think he's still evolving. I never got a sense that he was or wasn't gay. I mean, he had a gay experience, but it doesn't mean that you're gay. And I just got a sense that that was his only connection. And it could have been a woman, it could have been anybody. It was just a connection, and it was the only one he ever had. And it happened to be gay, but I didn't think that was, I don't know, I didn't think that was that important's the wrong word, but I just think he was evolving all the time. All three of those characters kept evolving, and even seeing Kevin at the end, it was maybe questioning, am I gay, or do I just, you know, who am I and what am I?
Well, you know, it may have been just a pure marketing avenue, but you know, they did market it to the gay community.
That's interesting to me.
You know, based on what?
Well, I mean,
1/8 of the movie, if that.
You know,
sure, but
Well,
I
but
did
it's
not-
also the whole coming out process isn't just, okay, here I am out. and
No,
here's
yeah.
I'm gonna wear the necklace and that sort of, so, you know, there's that aspect, I think, to it that with both Kevin and Little and all the different names he goes by, that I think rang true in terms of, and you know, the fact that Kevin had a baby with his baby mama,
Baby
whoever
mama,
she
yeah.
is, yeah. I mean, she's not his, anyone he's in a you know, live-in relationship with or whatever. But there's that whole thing with, you know, the in the Black community, you know, it's not cool to be gay, so you do the on the down low thing, you know, and so you have this sort of my superficial, everybody sees
Right.
me, her life, but that's not necessarily your identity.
To me, it was just another brick in the wall. I had no doubt watching this movie that he was gay, and he was trying to push down the fact that he didn't have a mother that cared for him, trying to push down the fact that his friends betrayed him, push down the fact that he was attracted, and the only positive experience he had was a gay experience. I didn't question that at all. But to me, it was all just another brick in the wall of how he became this hardened person, trying to deny all those characteristics that defined him, even his sexuality, which, like Karen says, I mean, that is an onus in the Black community to be both Black and gay is an impossible hill to climb, and he was doing his best to fight through that. But
I mean, I don't really care that he was gay. I wanted him to survive. That was my thinking about Sharon, you know, and I think this picture behind me was like a real turning point where after Kevin beats the hell out of him, and he comes home and he comes to the bathroom and he ices his face down, and then he looks up at the screen. And I think right after that, doesn't he become, no, then he goes to school the next day. But he was a different person.
Yeah, if you go back and look at that scene, count the number of doors that he breaks through to the classroom. some door after door after door after door before he picks up the chair. And I don't think that's, by
Yeah.
accident. I think that
Yeah.
is layer after layer after layer. And his body language, and he walks into that classroom,
Yeah,
he
it's
is
different.
a man in full, and he doesn't
Yeah.
really care what happens after that.
Yeah.
I thought it was very powerful.
So after that, he becomes an adult, and he's kind of like Mahershala Ali's character. I mean, he's a drug dealer. He's not afraid of anything. But I think he's a little different too. He hasn't.
Well, and he's all buffed up.
Yeah.
Like
Nobody's
Juan.
going to beat him up now. Yeah.
And when he broke the chair over that guy's thing and the police came and hauled him off, did he spend jail time? I didn't
Yeah.
really get a
Juvie.
sense of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of can harden you a little bit too.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
learn some things, but it's interesting that in that kind of setting, you have the sort of the idea that a lot of gay stuff happens in prison. Why didn't he encounter some of that? But it sounds like maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the other question Chris asked. Oh, Shu asked, do we know how Juan died? And I don't think we do. He just is suddenly out of the picture. And if Juan had reached out, to Little, if you're following that, if a grown-up Little had reached back to try to nurture a kid, would that have been accepted? The fact that Juan was kind of a tough guy and knew the streets and could be tender towards Little, that's one dynamic. Whether he could grow up and be tender towards another little kid, I'm not sure that's a dynamic that would have worked in that movie. If you're thinking he grew up to be like Juan.
Juan had a good female partner,
right?
Who was loving and nurturing, and so that I think that played into his whole relationship with Sharon.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. If he comes up and mimics Juan in his life, I've been sitting there for 30 seconds trying to remember the movie I'm thinking about. Then all of a sudden, it becomes a Black Miami version of A Bronx Tale. I don't know, anybody seen that movie where
sure, yeah.
Where the Robert De Niro's kid ends up with the
maid guy, yeah.
Yeah, the maid guy. Can't think of the actor's name right off the bat.
Palmieri.
Yeah, Chaz Palmieri.
Yeah.
Then you got the Black Miami version of The Bronx Tale.
Huh. That's interesting.
So was Juan a good guy? I mean, everything around him was good, and he did good things, but he was a drug dealer.
Well, if you're looking at it from Little's point of view, he's a good guy who got his mom hooked on drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I remember from the movie. I didn't watch the last 40-60% of the movie. Joan said to me, so what was this movie about? And I said, all I remember, it's a little kid who gets befriended by a drug dealer who realizes it's the drug dealer who's got his mom hooked. It was why he's in the position he's in. That circle was what I remembered from it. And
that is.
And none of that seems to faze Janelle Monáe. I mean, she's good with it. He's a good man to her.
Yeah. Well, it's 2000.
Well, yeah, because
what year did it take place in? And this was in the 90s, though, right? It wasn't present day, right?
I
don't
remember them it to a time.
I don't think they put a timestamp on it.
I got a sense, and again, just a sense that it was way before 2016. Because I think by 2016, even being Black and gay, you're more accepted. There's so many by 2016, there's so many Black men that are gay and are out and are successful and all that. I got a sense that it was like the 90s, that, and maybe I'm wrong.
They showed plenty of cars, so I never looked at any of the cars and said, oh, that's a 90s car. But
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, and Juan talks about either being born in Cuba or being Cuban at the beginning of the movie when he's trying to get Sharon to talk to him, and you know he's a fully developed man. He's speaking pretty clear English. So I think it's in the present. It doesn't feel to me like it's
Really?
well it's in the present in the sense it's 2016.
I can't remember. Are there cell phones? That's always what I look at. You know, if they're holding
I
up
don't, yeah.
that giant box thing, it's like, oh, it's the 90s.
Oh, that's right. I don't remember
I
cell
don't
phones. Do you
remember any
guys?
cell phones.
I don't either.
No.
So
It is
I've just seen
possible
it.
to have a story without cell phones, but
But the car-
you know,
that's- I
it's
know.
hard.
Not if you're a drug dealer.
But if they have them,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
gonna be
that's
like the
a point.
cars. The cars
Yeah.
help. Yeah.
Yeah. I just got a sense that it was before now, you know, well, anyway, that's just my sense.
One of the markers that we can all look for as we go down the road is movies that are based on phone conversations where I'm talking and then there's a cut to a scene where somebody else is talking. You can we're going to be able to look back and go, that was shot during the pandemic when they didn't allow people in the same room with each other, and they would
Right.
advance a story. Then you can go back and you can see that those actors were never in the same room at the same time, but they did an entire movie, 2 different locations.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks. Like I said, thanks for indulging me to help me catch up on my best picture.
It wasn't Warren Beatty's fault that he said that wrong. He got the card, and the card was for what did LA 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 Land win for? Best
Whatever. Yeah.
musical or something like
Musical, I think.
Oh, yeah, they
Best
hand-
picture.
that. They hand
Yeah.
him that card again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, he took most of the heat for.
Yeah.
He looked
Yeah.
bad too. I mean, I was reading about it in that book. I was reading about the Academy Awards, and they made him look pretty bad, but it wasn't his fault. Price Waterhouses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was them.
There's a Hollywood rumor that is it Marissa Tomei who won for Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress in
Yeah. My cousin Vinny.
yeah, that she really didn't win.
Really?
Yeah, that they read the wrong card and just never corrected it.
Wow.
That's what Trump says about 2020.
Yeah.
That's right.
Karen, that's funny. All right, now laugh.
So,
Right.
do you know who was up there with Warren Beatty?
Carly Simon.
Oh, I doubt that.
You
Sincerely.
got
doubt
that?
Faye
All right,
Dunaway.
Bill.
Remember.
Faye Dunaway.
Faye
Because
Dunaway?
he's
Oh,
so gay.
of course.
It was the 50th.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Bonnie
Yeah.
and Clyde.
anniversary of
Bonnie and
Clyde.
Clyde.
Yeah,
That's
Bonnie
right.
and Clyde, right?
Yeah.
And Joan Crawford, Mommy Dearest.
What about it?
That was Faye Dunaway.
Oh, okay.
Oh. All right. Anybody got anything they've seen lately?
Yes.
Okay.
2
Go
things. Again, but I like kind of political thrillers, that kind of thing. Black Doves with Keira, what's her name? Keira Knightley. Black Doves. It's about, I'd say maybe 6 episodes.
Oh, it's
Really
a minute.
good.
Okay.
And the other one is The Madness. And that's with I forget the actor that played Ruskin, if you remember, really good actor. I forget his name. It's a strange name, but anyway, both of them are really good. And it's those, for me, it's the kind that I have to keep, I binge it. I can't just stop and go and wonder what happened. I have to know. So
Did you finish Madness?
yes, yes,
I saw the first episode.
it's really good. It gets even better. Yeah.
What's it about?
Madness. Oh God, that's hard to explain.
To me, it looked like he got set up. He's a black guy, gets set up. It sort of looks like they're picking on him because he's black,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's going to turn out that way. But
Yeah, it's just a real interesting because of how we live now. I think you'll find it interesting.
So who
We
saw
can-
who saw Gladiator? Anybody?
I thought,
Mhm.
Not
Yep.
yet.
Oh, Bill, how'd you like
Any
it?
good?
I mean, I
Not
liked
as
it. I
not
liked
as good
it.
as-
I mean, everybody's saying I've seen Wicked and I've seen Gladiator, and I mean, I can agree that it wasn't as good as the original, but I like the idea that they're showing the Colosseum and they're showing those water battles in there. I mean, I remember back in architecture school, they used to talk about how they had water battles in the Colosseum. So when I saw they were going to do that in that movie, I was going, "Oh, I got to see that." And they might have took it a little too far with some of that, but no, it played off of the first one. It was so it was interesting. I mean, it was.
How about Wicked?
I don't think it's going to win the Academy Award. I think Wicked might though.
What
Did you see
think
Paul
of-
Mescal on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Take my heart. Yeah. I
did
loved Wicked, but my sister didn't. So
you saw it?
yeah. But see, I had seen the play. So I knew the story and, and I knew the words to the music and all that. My sister had not seen the play.
Did you sing out loud?
Did I what?
Did you sing out loud?
No, I'm not one of those that does that. No. I just think of it in my head. Yes.
Were there people trying to sing along when you saw it?
Not where I think there was only about 5 people when I went. I went early in the
good. Yeah.
morning. So
There
yeah.
will be, I think, as soon as people start to know the songs and things
Well,
like
the
that.
songs are so fun and they're cute.
Mhm.
And the storyline, I think, is a really good storyline. And, it's just good. But my sister thought it was, there was so much going on all the time with all the dancing and all the singing. And if you don't know the words, and she just thought it was just too much and too long. So,
Well,
Yeah.
the one lady, I guess she's a Broadway star, right? And I mean, I didn't know her as well as.
oh, you mean Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel? Those are the 2 stars that were doing it in Broadway that were in it. You mean, is that what you're talking about, Bill?
The black lady that was in the movie. She's a big Broadway.
Oh, yeah, she's a big Broadway star. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
she
It's
is.
actually green, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. A woman of color. A woman of color. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a big Broadway star, so she's going to have a great voice. Yeah.
Yeah. The
She does.
music is
She
so
pulls that
fun.
off. She pulls that off real well.
Yeah.
They both do.
Now this is part 1, right? Donna,
Right.
is there in
Part
the
one.
stage play, is there a longer part that would correspond to part 2?
I don't
Or did this-
remember it. Well, there is
Here's
No,
what
it's
I,
been
not
based,
really.
based on the book, not so much on the musical, the theatrical. And the book has his, there's not much
Yeah.
more to it. So they took it and broke it in, into 2 parts.
so
Okay.
I read about that a little bit, and this book, it's like 5 novels.
Oh yeah, I mean I read it.
It's like 5
Way back
novels. So
when.
I was like going, I left the movie and I was asking, what was this based on, in the book? And so I saw that there were 5 novels, that lead up to The Wizard of Oz, and by this same person. And so I said, are they going to have 5 sequels? I thought
They'd like to.
Well, sure. If
Yeah.
it makes money, I'm sure
but
they
I did
will.
look it up, and they said just one more. Just one more. So they could,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Wait
that's
till-
what they say.
So
Yeah.
Kat,
I've
are you
been-
the only one that saw Moana this weekend?
No, I did not. My granddaughter and daughter went and saw Moana. I did not go.
Did they? What'd they think? Do you know?
Well, of course, they loved it. Yeah. And then I found the doll. So she's getting the doll for Christmas. They're already under the tree. Speaking of my tree,
It's
I-
beautiful.
Looks great. Nice.
I have to show you. That's too far away for you to see. So I'm going to bring it up close.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Wicked and Gladiator got all the hype and Moana got all the box office.
Got all the money.
All the money. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't Wicked do okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
both
Wicked
did
did
okay.
very well. Yeah.
But Moana won the box office this weekend too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're printing money over there.
So
Yeah.
I was looking at the theater that's over by the house, and it's got 18 theaters in it, and or something like that, Ward Parkway. And so Patty and we like to go to Tuesday night movies, and I looked up something to see. All those theaters, there was only 4 movies playing.
Just
Ah.
different times. Yeah.
Well, that's because you've got 3D
Wicked,
and then you got
Gladiator.
IMAX and then you've got standard and then you've got, yeah.
The ones where they bring you drinks, and you sit in the
Yeah.
recliner and
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Well,
like
no,
that. Yeah.
What do you
Well,
think? What do you think the
there's-
4th movie was?
I don't know. There's Wicked, Moana,
Gladiator.
Gladiator. Yeah.
Gladiator.
It's not about some German doctor.
Oh, yes, the one about that story about trying to kill Hitler.
Yeah. And so I said,
What?
I don't know
Yeah.
about seeing that one. And somebody said, it's an awfully good movie.
And I think it's a documentary, isn't it, Bill? Or is it a movie? Maybe.
I
I'm
don't know
not
for
sure.
sure. I haven't seen them. But
That's
it
probably
was
the one you don't
pretty
have to stand in line for.
No, probably not.
You
I was
probably only got
surprised.
one of the screens.
Or sing along with.
Yeah. And it's probably not in 3D.
good. I
Or
pulled down,
IMAX.
Springtime and
Right.
yeah.
I pulled
Which
down
one-
the show times for Wicked, and it was like every 15 minutes,
Yeah.
Which one is Gladiator in 3D?
I would guess
Wicked.
it is. They're all, Wicked was in 3D in standard IMAX, and then there was another something.
We saw it in Dolby, so the
Okay,
sound was
maybe. Yeah.
extreme. It was strong.
Yeah.
Which one did you see in Dolby?
Wicked.
You did?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was a huge production that was done with all the technology that Hollywood could wrap its arms around, and very good voice talent. And it's one of those things that it's a bang. It's huge.
Yeah.
So just from the spectacle standpoint, I thought it was enjoyable. I didn't really, I get the idea that it's a precursor to our well-known story, Wizard of Oz, but it was interesting. And I thought that Ariana Grande's character was really funny because she was such a little bitch.
Yeah, I
She
know.
was obnoxious.
But she wanted to be popular.
Oh, geez. Yeah. She pulled that off really well.
Yeah.
We've been watching Landman as it goes on, and I like it better than I thought it would. I think Taylor Sheridan has my number somehow. He's really writes some
is
pretty
good.
interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And then we also started watching Lioness again, which
Oh,
has
yeah.
some interesting characters in it, and the way they develop those stories is pretty intense, very military.
All right. I have
Yeah.
a sappy confession to make. We watched, I think it was a 6 or 8 part series called A Man Inside or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So did I.
Netflix.
Yes.
And it,
Happy. Yeah.
Donna's laughing at me.
No, I saw it too. And I watched it all. Ted Danson plays,
It's a-
an
it's a guilt-
undercover.
guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is about as far away from Moonlight in terms of serious.
Yeah.
But occasionally you gotta balance your Moonlights with your A
Yeah.
Man
It
Inside.
was Sally Struthers and Ted Danson. I mean,
Yeah, it's all the
like-
people from Big Chill 20 years, 20 years
Later.
later.
40 years.
years, yeah.
Yeah,
I
50
read,
years, yeah.
I read that show is based on that movie Mike Sanders has watched a few years back. Do you remember where, I think, oh, the man, he had a regular part in Pig, he was, like, I forget his name. He's been in a lot of things. But remember, he goes to the old folks home.
Bill, I'm going to stop you. A big part of this movie or this series is about, you remember the guy who played in the movie? What was the name of that movie? And then he was married to the lady. What was it? Who was he married to? And they were in that sitcom. What was the name of that sitcom? And you remember when the whole show is about boomers who can
It's about
almost
us.
remember. And then there was a movie that he was also in. And
But he was,
Yeah.
but he was in the old folks home, wasn't he?
yeah,
Ted
that's
Danson
it.
was into the old
That's
folks.
that's the basis of it. Yeah.
Right. Right.
He's a guy who goes into an old folks home to do some undercover work, and by the end of the series, he likes living in the old folks home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a real benefit of this movie club is that we have a little edge on people who have trouble remembering people because we probably have seen it a little more recently than they have.
Exactly.
And there's also, you just sort of edit yourself. If you can't think of the names of the movie or the people then don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Google.
select your
Suggestion.
phone,
Yeah, that's right. Google.
Hang on, let me get my phone.
That's
Wait,
right.
Robert
Yeah.
De Niro. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was like 17 movies ago that he did. Yeah.
Well, speaking of kind of sappy things, like, is anybody watching any of the holiday movies, the Hallmark / Lifetime / Hulu /
Joan watched Our Little Secret with Lindsay Lohan on the plane today.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, did
yeah.
she like
Yeah, I
it?
did see that. Yeah.
Did
She
she
said
like
it was.
it?
She said it was good.
Okay,
Very,
all right.
very
I
watchable.
watched one that I want to tell you, you'll never get that hour and a half back. It's so bad. But when I tell you what it's about, you're like, yeah, we know, you watched it. It's called The Merry Gentleman. It's from this year. This woman, she's a rockette, but they don't call them rockettes, but she's old, she's older. She's like 30. And they kick her out for somebody who's 20. So she goes back home. Her parents own this little club, but nobody plays in the club anymore because it's easier to do a TikTok and blah, blah, blah. So they're about to lose the club. So she decides to do a holiday extravaganza with male
The
strippers.
Merry Gentleman.
The Merry Gentleman. It is so bad. There is not a single person in that cast that can act their way out of a paper bag. It is just really, it's like at the end, I'm just like, well, there's an hour and a half I'll never get back.
But how do they look with their shirts off? That's all that
Good.
matters.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
only, it was pretty good. But there was a movie from last year called Xmas, EXMAS, which is hilarious. And I will recommend that one. I think it's on Hulu, either that or it's Prime or Netflix or Hulu, one of those. This is the guy is not going to go home for Christmas. He's some important guy and he's got to do this and blah, blah. He tells his mother he's not going home for Christmas, partly too because he and his fiance have broken up and he's heartbroken. Okay. But then he decides, oh yeah, I'm going to, I can, everything I have to do, I still have to do this work, but everything I have to do, I can do it remotely. I am going to go home for Christmas, make my mother happy. He gets home and of course there's his fiance. The parents haven't broken up with his fiance. They invited her for Christmas. So there's the conflict, which of course in the end, they're going to fall back in love. It's all hunky-dory. What's so funny about this movie is the parents. The mom tries to use like popular slang, but she has no idea what it means. Every time she does, it's like completely off. Like one of the examples is like they're talking about something that they like or someone that they like, and the mom's like, oh, I'd hit that, and they're like, Mom, she's like, that just means you like it, right? And they're like, no, Mom, that's how it means.
No, WTF? Why the face?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing. So that's an hour and a half that you're like, oh yeah, it was fun, and there were Christmas trees in the background. So if you're in the mood for like just brain numbing,
What's your favorite?
Xmas from 2023 but avoid at all costs The Merry Gentleman.
Of all your Christmas movies, that's your favorite?
No, that's just more current ones. My favorite of all times, of course, is Love Actually. I mean, what's
I
that?
love that one too. I know, but a lot of
Right, yeah,
people hate it. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
But I also have to say, of course, Gary, the National Lampoon, of course.
Yeah, I'm not. Chevy Chase leaves me so cold. So yeah, I'm not a
Well,
big.
Gary played the boss. I played Aunt, what's her name?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, we all
Logan.
dressed up.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
all right.
Logan was yeah. So we had National Lampoon dinner at Logan's one Christmas.
Fun. Oh,
That was fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah, it was. It was lots of fun.
Did
But
you say
I really
did you
liked
say the
Scrooge.
blessing?
Pardon me?
You had to, didn't you have to say the blessing?
Yeah, the blessing.
I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag. That's right.
That's actually my very
I
favorite part of
pledge
that movie.
allegiance to the flag. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I like Scrooged, with Bill Murray.
Yeah, yeah.
One of my, and
And
then
I
of
have no
course-
patience for people that say their favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard. I have no patience for that.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, there's real argument whether it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it takes place on Christmas Eve. That's
Has
the only
anybody
reason why
seen
it's a
the
Christmas
movie
movie.
that starring Sean Penn called Right Here, Right Now, or This Place, or something like that? It's no.
Mm-mm.
I watched it on the plane on the way home today. He plays like an Ozzy Osbourne burned out rock star character. No?
Really?
Okay.
Huh.
I can't recommend it because I'm not done with it, but it's a oddball movie.
Huh.
All right.
He's a good actor, though.
Yeah, it's funny. David Byrne plays a role in it. Yeah.
That movie that I was trying to think of is called Never Too Late, and James Cromwell was the actor.
Cromwell. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
From
Yes.
Babe. Yes.
That's
Yes.
what that TV show is based on.
Never Too Late.
Cromwell was in a movie just recently that I saw. Again, I think it's a mystery. Murder.
Man, his career has been all over the board.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
A
Yeah.
lot of different parts.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, you're going to Thailand. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm going to Thailand. I just my old roommate from college lives there for 3 or 4 months out of the year, and he said, "Why don't you come on over?" So we're going on over.
How fun.
29-hour flight.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's 2 stops. Right. How have you gone over there?
Well, LA to Tokyo, Tokyo to Bangkok.
And how long did that take?
It's 22, 23 hours altogether.
Yeah.
Flight time, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, we're doing that. And ours goes Seattle, Seoul, South Korea, into Bangkok. And then we're staying at a kind of like a 5-star hotel, best I can tell.
Great.
Book.
Great.
So, and you get great prices, right, for all that. That's where he's staying at. And we're just now, he sends every day. He sends like ideas, things to do. I think he mentioned a couple of places that you mentioned, and anyway, yeah, it's going to be quite an adventure, I think.
Next time we see Bill, he'll be a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Could be.
Or a lady man.
Yeah.
There's that too.
I got a little Buddha at work from a friend, and I threw it out. He's since moved on, and so I threw it in the trash can. The other day, Patty comes running in with this little Buddha, and she goes, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
"It's
that's bad
Buddha."
luck.
Bad
Yeah, holy
karma.
man.
I'm
Bad
like,
karma.
Bad karma.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
don't
she
borrow
saved-
trouble.
so
She saved your house.
karma saved.
I'm not getting on the same plane with you. I know that.
Well, what is virtue without a trial? I mean, so that's good.
Wow. Can I write that down? What is virtue?
Yeah, let's.
Well, I mean, I hope that Jeff isn't the only one that knows how to do the recording while I'm gone.
Oh yeah,
I
that's right.
think we all could.
Yeah, good.
It's pretty.
Yeah, because you can
simple.
just
And
I
I'm
mean, the
sure,
website
I'm
now,
not sure
anybody can-
why, I'm not sure why we need a recording. How big is our YouTube following anyway?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But
maybe you
it took the
know,
place of our minutes, and
Yeah.
I
those
smelled-
that are gone, we kind of like.
I smell dinner, so I'm gonna bail out.
Yeah, it's 8
Yeah,
o'clock.
I'm ready too.
All right,
All right,
All
you
right, see you
guys.
guys.
We'll
All
see
right.
you
You
guys.
guys.
See you next week. Oh,
All right.
all right.